Hey there, we are talking Musima again. So let's have a look at this one here. East German steel string guitar. Yep, I got it on the bench, obviously. So let's take a look. All right, first impressions. To be honest, this is one of the worst guitars I've ever had on my bench. In terms of construction, how it feels, how it looks, how it's assembled, pretty much it just feels wrong. So to give you an impression, I know it doesn't come across on video. It has a very wide neck, super chunky profile. This feels like a classical guitar neck, but with like a pedal headstock here. Zero fret, the sharpest fret ends you can imagine, of course. And the body itself is, yeah, the shape is like a hybrid. It's not quite dreadnought size. It's more like a classical size. It's all laminated materials, obviously. This rosette is just some decal or sticker or whatever. Yeah, I mean, if we just turn it over, you can see the neck heel itself. This is like a classical neck bolted onto a slightly different body. Or it might even be a classical body. I haven't compared it to all of their models. It's leather braced, obviously. It has this weird, fun contraption for a bridge, which is actually like a plastic saddle that had cracked in the middle here, so it's sunken in. I mean, look at the top. This is not even spruce laminate. This is, what's that? It's like a weird cut of maple laminate. Looks fun, right? The fretboard has very deep pores. And if you check out the section up here where there's some of the stain missing because it's not a dark wood at all, I would almost guess this could be like oak. Seriously? Maybe it's oak. Or ash? Something like that. The neck itself, I'm pretty sure, is beech. If you look at those lines here, that's like typical for beech. Stained, of course, and like a three-piece thing going on here. I recently got this fascinating book about the history of the Musima, East Germany's most famous, I think, but anyway, East Germany's largest instrument maker, and at times I think even one of Europe's largest instrument makers. I mean, if we just look at some of the numbers here, just in the year 76, they would have made like 109,000 concert guitars or like classical guitars and over 8,000 electric guitars. So that's like insane numbers. But they also made, as you can see, like mandolins, recorders, like 3 million recorders, uh, banjos, like 7,900 banjos. Yeah, this was really mass production. The fun thing for me is if we look at some of the examples in the back here, of course, there were these relatively conventional looking dreadnought style Western guitars or like steel string flat top guitars, but those were all made like after 89. So when the company changed hands a few times and they tried to stay relevant, so they offered products that more closely resembled Western guitars. But if we look at the stuff they offered back in East German times, or like when Germany was still a divided country, we see a lot of classical or nylon string guitars in many different shapes and forms. But it's actually pretty rare to see a flat top guitar like that which was intended for use with steel strings, like this one, the model E19. I've never heard of that, but anyways. This one here says it was made in the 70s as well, but this 12 string might be rare. I've never ever seen one of those in the wild. Then we get the later models. and those are the old ones again. So there were a lot of very beautiful archtop designs. I mean, just look at those. Those are incredible guitars. But the regular, like Martin style flat top acoustic, not that popular, it seems. Oh, here's the 1657 bass I did a little video about. You can check it out if you want on my channel. Let's take the strings off and have a look inside. We have a set of 4 steel strings and 2 nylon strings here. And by the way, the 2 nylon ones, which are wound the wrong direction, are also the only ones which have tuner buttons left on them. But I think we can say for sure that this was intended for steel strings, because the slots in the nut are not wide enough to accommodate the nylon strings. There's no truss rod in there, and the neck is super bent. Let's see if I can catch that. Yeah, that's pretty terrible. So this guitar is far from playable and even further from reasonable repair. If we look at the joint closely, this has opened up in the past, was crudely attempted to glue back down, and also there's like a big chunky screw in the heel. Yeah, I don't really know if we can or should repair this, but at least it's going to be interesting to check out what an East German, in quote marks, Western guitar would have looked like. I should add that this one is actually my guitar, not a client's guitar. I bought it for the full price of €5. Basically just out of curiosity and to investigate what this rare East German guitar would be like, because I'm somewhat of an Muzima collector in the meantime, or I almost turned into a Muzima collector in the meantime. But there's one more reason, which is the main reason for me. I bought it for spare parts. And believe it or not, the thing I'm mostly interested in is this tuner button, or like both of these. Because I have another guitar which is, in my opinion, way cooler than this one, and it's missing exactly one of those buttons. And I will see if I can replace them. And then again, also these fun plastic bushings for the machines here, those always break or are missing, so that's worth €5 just in parts for me. And as a bonus, we get this top of the line, high quality guitar strap. Original vintage with like silver flower embroidery going on there. Lovely thing. Yeah, let's add this to the collection of weird guitar straps. Those 2 bridge pins don't quite seem to match. Oh, they're tight. They are way too tight. Wow. Oh, look. So at least those are modern strings. This colored ball end tells us it's a famous brand. There we go. It was even in the wrong way with the slot facing like sidewards. Oh well. Is that even adjustable at all, or just bolted down like that? Oh, so it's like a solid piece of plastic. It feels quite grainy, like it's not ABS or something. There's definitely some filler or something in there. Interesting. There's no thread or metal part or anything in the slot. It's also a bit heavier than one would imagine, so it's not your average plastic, I'm sure. What's going on here? Did they invent some type of fake bone synthetic material, like tusk or something, back then and nobody knows about it? That would be interesting. But I understand the concept now. So the holes in there are threaded, and the grub screw would just and the screw would just stick out the bottom and thereby push it up in the slot. Yeah, not the most efficient way of string energy transfer, but still pretty interesting. Also note how the slot was cut all the way through and the bridge was resting directly on the soundboard instead of on the bridge itself. And of course, it's pretty loose. There would be screws under there, I suppose, under these plastic dots. But we can confirm that when we look on the inside. Oh, no screws at all, just a chewed up bridge plate, which appears to be maple. At least I'm surprised by that. That's good, have a hardwood in there. And standard leather bracing. And the tone balls, of course. Let's switch it around to the other side. Not much to see here. Check out how carefully they tucked the braces under the lining. Look at this one, it's like next to the cutout. Nice volute on the back here. And these are the tuning machines we're after. In fact, not the tuning machines themselves, but those plastic knobs here. So let's remove those. I should be able to heat the shafts again and get them back off this way. And there it comes. Look at that. That's what we want. Nice. Oh, and I'm breathing the fumes here. The glue they used on this attempted repair is interesting. I mean, it's like weird and soft. It's almost waxy. That's not your average like wood glue. That's something way cheaper. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious if the neck just comes off when I remove the glue and the screw here, because it seems to be like a giant gap all the way around. So just for curiosity, I'll try and see if I can get the neck off. Check out what the dovetail looks like, or if there even is a dovetail. That's not how you repair a neck. Don't do it, please. Check this out, it's almost just hanging on by the fingerboard extension. I might be able to take off the neck just by releasing the extension here. And probably even without removing the thread and drilling the holes and putting heat in there. Let's try. Small iron just on medium heat here to heat up the extension. In the meantime, let's marvel at the fretwork here. We have a flat board, and the fun effect that the frets loosened up on both ends, so they developed almost like a concave shape to them. So if we get a straight edge on there, you can see light in the middle. Ah, nasty sticky glue. This is like chewing gum. Yeah, it's definitely moving. I mean, it was halfway loose in there as well, but right now I'm up to a point where it's basically stuck again. And I noticed during the heating, the fretboard did not like that, and the small crack that was visible before has opened up a long way. I think it's all the way through now, so... Oh, maybe not, but still not great. Look, that's what makes it so tough. It's technically not a real dovetail joint, but more like a straight mortise and tenon style thing that has the profile of a dovetail seen from above. So usually as soon as you release a dovetail, it just comes out because it tapers. But this one, since it's straight, it sticks all the way through. See, it was indeed a straight slot, like for a mortise and tenon joint, but profiled like a dovetail, which made it really sticky. At least they got the gluing right in gluing the sides and also some spreading here in the back, but they didn't glue the cheeks of the heel, which is just what you're supposed to do. If we look at the neck here, they even undercut the cheeks here, so just a little edge remains, which makes it much easier to sand and when you fit it at the factory. You can really tell the undercutting going on here, and you can see the chisel marks. And you can also clearly see the two strips they put on there as shims. And looking at the fretboard without the stain on it, yeah, it looks quite oaky to me. Not okay, but oaky. Get it? Anyone? Not your typical bolt and nut arrangement under there, but a rather tiny little wood screw directly into the soundboard. Yeah. Let me be honest, this was my very first bridge removal ever. I'm literally just learning on camera here. And I think I got lucky with this one. Firstly, because it was already halfway unglued. And secondly, this finish is super resilient. You can tell they scratched up the soundboard, maybe for extra adhesion or something, with a scalpel blade here. The lines on there. And also like a crosshatch of lines on the bridge. Surprisingly, and that's something apparently you don't see on many guitars, and even many modern guitars won't do it properly, they taped off before finish, so there's no lacquer under the bridge, or at least inside of the footprint. I mean, that's great, but on the other inside it's still released in the back, so what gives, right? And here we have the guitar completely disassembled. The question is, what gives, right? After all that, I still don't really like this guitar, honestly. I don't really feel inclined to repair it or make it playable just yet. But I think this is an interesting thing to look at in the first place and also a good testing bed. And right now, just by taking off this a little bit less than usual neck joint here and taking off my first bridge, I already learned some stuff. So that alone was worth it, I suppose. For now, this will just go on a shelf and I will see what happens. Maybe one day I feel inclined on trying some neck reset or whatever on this, but the neck itself is like such a bad deformation in there. It's like a crazy forward bow, and there's no truss rod, and I would probably try to heat band it back in shape. But it's, in theory, I think good to have something like this on the shelf if I ever need to do heat bending of a neck on a more valuable guitar. I have like a suspect to test my technique on before I attempt it on a real, in quote marks, on a guitar that has more financial or emotional value. So for now, thanks for watching. I hope that you found it interesting, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.